So we're back once again today in Deer Hunter 2005 for yet another Throwback Thursday hunt, but I'm quite excited to try a little bit of a different approach than we did in the previous 3 hunts. So in all of those we kind of hunted multiple deer species, but this time I really want to focus down on whitetail and try to get like a really good one, because I think last time, or maybe the time before, we got one in the 150s, but I know we can do better. There obviously are record book and world record deer in the game, and our 150s was not either of those, so we're going to hunt around maybe on both Georgia and Illinois. We'll see how Georgia treats us, and we'll see if we can finally get something a little better. So finally we have the first buck of the hunt here, and he's kind of an interesting one. 13 points apparently, but a 116 guess. He's about to walk into the water, which would be poaching if we shot him there. So we're going to hit him before he actually gets to that point. One more shot just to make sure he goes down quickly. I honestly have no idea where we're going to have to go to get across, but there's been so many does and fawns this hunt, I figured we might as well take the first buck we see, especially if he does have a lot of points. There is another little buck out there. That's not a very special one, I mean, unless he's somehow a knot tip that I can't see. We might leave that one, but actually, as it turns out, getting across there wasn't too big a deal. Our other buck's kind of just walking away, but I think we'll let him go. This was a 118 non-tip, so at least starting with the non-typical part of it being decent, but the score is not anything too special. This has just been one of those hunts where I think it's probably best to take a buck like this and move on. I mean, it's a pretty good size frame 6-point, and he's got a better estimate than the 2 we saw earlier, so I think we'll try to get him. And then hopefully we can go and fill our doe tag, and kind of just move on and do another hunt, because it just seems like there's not a whole lot of bucks around. But I am actually at least a little curious, since that is a good size 6-point, like what he's going to score. I mean, 148 and basically a 300-pound deer. That's not too bad for a 3x3. So yeah, let's get up here and see if we can find a doe and get our last tag filled. And actually that will work pretty well, because that's one we saw earlier. And it's the heaviest one I've seen in this particular hunt, so 212-pound guess. I think we got a little bit of a frontal heart shot thing going on there, although that's a bit further to the right than where I thought we were going to hit, so I'm not sure exactly, but dropping her in her tracks works regardless of what we got. And after what honestly was a pretty long hunt, we finally have all 3 tags filled. That was actually a almost 200-pound doe as well, so not too bad. But let's head back and start another one. Now that looks a little bit better than what we've been seeing earlier. Apparently a 174 guess 9-point, but even with those nice tall tines, I can't imagine him actually going 170s. Because we did get one other decent one, but I thought it was bigger. So I'm pretty confident that's going to bring him down. But I think we're finally starting to get a decent strategy here. So what we've been doing is spawning up in the fields, and then kind of checking those, and then coming down here to the river, and kind of running along that, because it's a lot of open ground where you can see quite far in the distance. And the nice thing about that is a lot of times we're not actually spooking the deer before we get eyes on them, because that happened quite a lot on the other maps. But that's the nice thing about Georgia, and apparently there are plenty of good-sized deer, because we've had decent success here the other times we've been here as well. But where we can see that far, it makes quite a big difference. Now let's see what we have for this guy. Like I said, he's got good tine length. I mean, 157 is not too bad. I think our 6-point was like 140 something. 157 might be our best so far, though. I can't remember how big the other one we got was. I don't know that I was aware these were in the game, but because that's a value of 0 on the guess, that's gotta be a half rack. There definitely is only the left side there. That's kind of interesting. I can't remember ever seeing one of these as a kid, and it's actually like a good size one. If he had both antlers, he'd be a pretty good 8, but yeah, it's actually kind of cool to see. I'm pretty happy to fill our second buck tag with that one, because it seems like they're quite rare. And actually, we better go and get it so we don't lose it, but there were a bunch of does there to our right, so shouldn't take too long to go and fill our last tag either. It's tough to say at this point like how many bucks we've seen, but it's been quite a few, and none of them have been half racks. So 125 pounds, obviously the 0 score because he does only have the 1 antler, but that was pretty neat to see. And it took a little longer than expected to get back on a doe, but it doesn't really matter which one we go for. This one's not nearly as big as the last one got. I think it's at like a 122 guess. but I'm pretty sure I can see you're kind of stumbling, so we can go and get that, and I think we'll just kind of keep on going, because at least we're seeing some decent bucks. But at least that wasn't too bad to get our tag filled. Just a 132 poundo. And yeah, like I said, I think we'll just kind of head straight back in here. Ooh, that is a massive buck. It says 17 points and 15 total, and a guess of 209. So, first of all, that's one of the coolest frames we've seen. But before anything weird happens, we have a pretty good shot in there. I think that's going to just drop him right there in his tracks. That is such an interesting rack. I like that frame with the... It's kind of like stickers off of his G3s, I guess. That looks pretty cool, so we're not going to mess around with anything else. We're going to go straight over here and take a look at that, but that might actually be a record book. I really don't know, because as I understand it, we have to have our presence skill a little higher to actually know when we spot an animal if it would be. So I think this is all going to be kind of a surprise, but I want to get a better look at that. I mean, it's actually pretty cool, minus the fact that he doesn't actually have any G4s. It's just like the G3s and then sort of those stickers, and then it's all main beam from there. He's got some drop tines and stuff, but let's claim this guy and see what we have. 186 score. It's only 159 pounds, which is kind of surprising, so I don't know if it would say world record there. I thought it would. And I don't know what the score required is, but that is easily our best one. And that is a pretty good looking buck out there too. He's just a massive 8-point, I guess. I could see from here like the antlers, but there's actually not a whole lot going on other than a huge frame. Might as well go for that too. Immediately he disappeared. Guess he's running off to the left there. I think we got him. Yeah, he's starting to stumble, so we'll just kind of let him go down. But that's an interesting way to fill 2 tags. I mean, the frame on that guy is just huge. He's a 176. 8-point. That's crazy to me. Because what do we have for the other one? Like, it was 15 or 17. I really don't know. The fact that just an 8-point went 176 is insane. And that's another decent one. This is a 165.9. So I don't know what we're all of a sudden doing correctly, but I think we need to keep doing that. But finally we have a doe, so we can go ahead and try to fill our last tag there and then go back to the lodge and look at those couple. Surprised that wasn't a drop shot, but I'm pretty confident that'll bring her down, so we should be able to just go and claim her. And hopefully we're not going to run into any other huge bucks, because the fact that there was that 9-point right after the other 2 really good ones kind of makes me question if we should have hung around a little longer, but usually we don't even see one really good one. To see 2 and then the size of that 8-point, we sort of just went for that and I didn't even question it. I do think it was probably bigger than the 9 that we saw right after, but still. Apparently there are some good ones around in this hunt. But let's take a look and see what we got for our doe. 195 pounds, I think it's bigger than both of the other 2. But I want to go back. That's all of our tags filled anyway, and I want to take a look in the lodge, because I think maybe it displays there if an animal makes record book or not, because I don't even know. Okay, so actually, our 186 non-tip is a record book buck. I like the frame on that. I just think it's really cool with these stickers off the G3s. But he's apparently a mainframe 8, but he's a 16-point total, so he's got basically 8 stickers. I think he's completely even too, so it's the stickers off the G3s, and then there's like these little drop tines you can barely see. I think that's where that's coming from, but that's a cool looking buck. And then to go to our typical, that guy's a record book as well. I don't love this going on here. Not sure what the deal with that is. I think it's just kind of the way those antlers sit on the, like the deer model's head, because they are obviously massive. 176 record book typical. Minus that, it looks really cool. Like, there's deer that get like that in real life, just with huge bases but a really, you know, generic frame. That's a pretty cool looking deer, and we just, after how many hunts of getting nothing, get 2 record books in the same hunt? Well, like I said, whatever we're suddenly doing right, I think we gotta keep doing that. I'm kind of torn on what we should actually do next, because, I mean, I did say we were going to focus on whitetail, and we didn't get a world record buck, but 2 record books, one typical and one non-typical. I'm pretty happy with that, and by the way, at some point I guess we get to the outdoorsman rank. But I think we are going to probably switch it up. We'll probably go to Utah again and go for mule deer, because we've had some success there. We did get the double drop time buck, so we might as well go with that. And I don't even know where to spawn. I think Castle Rock has given us some success, so we'll start there and see what we can do. And that's not a bad way to start. I mean, a good wide 5x5. It says a 163 guess, and he's actually a pretty heavy one. It did say 12 total. I don't know if he's got some little stickers somewhere, but hopefully that shot's going to be enough to bring him down. I think it should be. See if he starts to stumble here. Yeah, he's going to go down probably not too far out of sight there. And I don't know that I saw that. I think that's just a doe, so we're going to let that go. That was one thing that you guys said in the comments, to make sure that we kind of save our doe tag for last, just in case a rare one shows up. And I think I mentioned that last time. It's not like the does are usually very hard tags to fill, so that's not too big of a deal, and it makes sense to do that. So we have seen that the, points guess can be wrong as well. I only see a 5x5, but that's a 201. I don't know how, but surely that's going to be a record book buck then. Unless mule deer get, way bigger, I would assume that, again, it would say world record if he made that, but I'm thinking that's going to get our names in the record books from mule deer as well, and I just, compared to the big drop time buck we got last time, I didn't see it in that one. Well, he's nowhere near the size of the one that we just got, but it's been quite slow here, so I think we'll probably take that one. And I'm pretty sure that deer to the right is a doe and not a fawn, so we might just go and try to get her right after, rather than try to hit her on the run, which we probably could do. I just feel like there's a higher chance that we're going to hit her poorly and end up having to track her for longer. So hopefully we don't run into a bigger buck, but we did pretty good with our 200 earlier. That's just a little 110. It almost feels like the better choice in that situation would be to shoot the doe, and then track the buck, and if we find a bigger one along the way, that would be just a bonus, but I guess you also don't want to lose the buck by doing that. So like I said, hopefully we're just going to get our doe and not see something bigger and end up regretting that. And even though that's not the same doe, that one will work just as well. She's actually just standing there perfectly broadside. And I think that is going to be the last bullet we're firing here on Utah today, so I want to go back and take a look at that 201. I really wonder if that's going to be a record book buck, and I want to just get a better look at it in the lodge, because like I said, I had no idea. That guess was 165, and I thought it might be under that. And that really does make me wonder, if it is something, just by leveling up that larger deer spawn. Because that, if it does make record books, is our 3rd one today, and even if it doesn't, it's going to be our personal best mule deer and whitetail in the same video, where we've really struggled to get anything decent in the past, so I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I like the direction things are going with this playthrough. I am amazed we even found this. Not the best spot to die. 134-pound doe, and let's go back and see what we got for our 200 mule deer. And up to trophy hunter rank, so I don't know what the max is, but definitely my favorite little symbol there so far. Seeing it like that, it is a lot bigger than I realized, and he is a record book buck, 200.975, and he was apparently a 5x6. I still don't see, oh, it's right there. There is an extra little tine, so makes sense. Makes sense why the estimate was 12 points as well. But not too bad. 3 record book bucks today, and that's 2 different species that were kind of getting out the list. So I had said at the beginning that I wanted to probably get a world record of every species, but I think at least for now we'll settle with record book of every species, especially when we see how big the deer are. Because the whitetail and now the mule deer do look really good, so next time we'll probably try for either blacktail or axis deer. We'll have to see how that goes, but I'm quite happy with that, and it's good to finally start getting some good sized deer as well. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.